Hey everyone, Smithy from Scripture Study with Smithy. I don't know if you've ever had your Ancestry DNA test done, but I was just thinking about it before. I was at, a few years ago, Mum sent me the test thing in the mail. He did a little swab, or I can't remember what I did. I think it was a swab or something. Put it back in the canister, sent it off, and then it come a few months later, you find out the results. It's interesting how it's changed over the years, because the more DNA tests that are done, the more data they receive, the more of a picture they can paint, so they can trace it a bit better. So the first one, it started out, I was like 50 something percent Scottish or something, and then 30 something percent Northern Europe or something. And then the last one was 30 something percent Scottish, very much English, and then a whole lot of other little countries like 12% Norwegian, Denmark in there. I've got some Prussia, France. Yeah, interesting stuff. But it all comes from that kind of corner of the world, really. The British Isles and Northern Europe. That's where my bloodlines come from. Interesting stuff. Wonder how far back they can go with the DNA tests. I'm not sure, but it's quite interesting. It kind of sums up a little bit about, how you feel about things in the world and where you kind of fit in, and learning about your history, your family history. I think it's pretty important. You kind of grow to appreciate where you come from and where, I've done a bit of history, reading history about Scotland and the kings and that kind of thing, and the wars. Never conquered, apart from the English after the Battle of Culloden, and that was the end of it. But tough dudes up there in the north. Same with the Vikings in the north there, tough dudes. It's great to know I've got that kind of heritage, that strong kind of, if you've got something to do, go get it done kind of heritage, and don't mess around kind of heritage. Yeah, it's good. So, and you think, if you think about the history of Scotland, the land clearances in the 1800s, 1700s, 1800s, they just, hundreds of thousands of poor Scots were cleared off their lands by the lords, so they could run more sheep, farm the land a bit better, and they sent them all over the world. Like hundreds of thousands went to Canada, the US, Caribbean, the New Zealand and Australia, all these places. The Scots ended up all over the world. Same with the Irish, and this the influence, I guess, that they've had going to these new lands, settling in and making the most of it. Not whinging and complaining either about, future generations. No one's looking for compensation for the stuff that was done back then, to those people. Interesting, isn't it? Because they've moved on, they've settled in the new countries, they've made the most of it, they've become productive people, participating in society, and they're not looking for any recompense for the hardships and tragedies that their families faced over those years. But you hear it from other people that are always the victim mentality. Yeah. So interesting history. I'm grateful that that's my history. If you haven't done a DNA test, go get one done. Check it out. It's good to see. I'm actually probably going to jump online today and see if it's changed again. It's been a while since I looked at it. Yeah, but it's quite interesting. Anyway, hope you have a good day. Something just to think about. Get your family history, even if you know what your family history is. It's just another story actually. Before I jump off, one of my mum's my great uncle, one of my mum's uncles, or great uncle, my great uncle, I can't remember. He went to World War II. Anyway, he ended up dying in Italy, and he's buried over there in the Commonwealth War Grave. And did a bit of research into him to try and find out how he died. And he died before the big push, so it was a couple of days before the big push happened. I forgot what it's called, something line, I forget what the name of the line was. And so he's buried over there. We don't know how he died, but he died a couple of days before the big push, so could have landed on a mine, could have got blown up, could have shot, who knows. And every one of these, reason I say that is because every one of these people in our family history has a story, right? Just like we have a story, they have a story. They're real people, and they kind of make up part of who we are. And so it's good to know about them and learn about them. They become real people, not just names on your family tree or on a grave site. Yeah. Anyway, have a great day. Something to think about. And appreciate everyone for tuning in.